boxing this afternoon. So let's start off first with the end of an era, the end of a legendary era. You know, I always listen to people say that, the Mayweather era was a weak era. The names that I hear in that era are not weak names. Okay, we had multiple weight world champions in that era, and one of which is Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. Now, there's a number of things I want to say about him, but before I start off with that, I want to make a disclaimer. Now, I hear a lot of people say there will never be another fighter like Pacquiao that will go through multiple weight classes and win world titles. From Taiwan, there was a fighter that, trying to remember the fighter that beat him, was looking through, who's currently fighting today at, I believe he's fighting at light heavyweight. And he started off at bantamweight. Okay. So 12 division guy went through 12 divisions. I believe he was bantamweight, super bantamweight, or I think he was super flyweight, bantamweight, super bantamweight, featherweight, and then I think he was lightweight world champion. Okay. And he won minor world titles in all the other divisions. I've come to understand that if you don't focus, there's so much to boxing. There's so many great fighters in boxing that we don't even know about. They don't talk about them. But there's guys out there today in this era who are fighting today who have fought through more than 10 divisions, more than 12 divisions in this new era. It's nuts. And I'm finding them. All right. So to say that there's never going to be a fighter like Pacquiao, and especially coming out of Asia, that guys are fighting multiple weight champions. So now NUE is not something new. I mean, we've got guys that started off at bantamweight and gone all the way up to light heavyweight, and just some incredible fighters that I would like to talk to you guys about a lot soon, one day, very soon. But we're dealing with the welterweight series. But back to Manny Pacquiao. So I don't believe that there will not be a fighter like Pacquiao. We've seen it in the past. So many fighters I can think of off the top of my head from past history who started off at strawweight and have gone all the way up to, say, welterweight, junior welterweight. Some guys go all the way up to super middleweight. So guys fighting in multiple divisions, like what Amanda Serrano is doing and Pacquiao, they're actually more common than people think. It's just that Serrano and Pacquiao are special in the sense that they have won titles, major titles, world titles and lineal titles in multiple weight divisions, which is kind of remarkable. But some of these guys have won minor world titles in multiple weight divisions as well. So, it's one of those incredible accomplishments that I've never realized how prolific it is. It's quite frequent. If you look in the global sphere of things, it's quite frequent. Okay. But back to Manny Pacquiao. So I think there will be another because history keeps on repeating itself. And, just to give you an example, Ted Kid Lewis back in the 1900s, though, it was hundreds of years ago. He fought in every single weight class that there was. He fought all the way up to heavyweight. Okay. I don't think he fought at light heavyweight, but he did fight heavyweight. Middleweight, was a middleweight champion. He was a welterweight champion. And he fought all the way from strawweight all the way up. Okay. And he's just one of so many fighters you'll find. Mexican fighters. I've seen Mexican fighters who did it. They didn't win world titles, but they fought in almost every single division. And we're talking about the fundamental 8 divisions. I think he fought in 7 of 8. You look at Sam Lamford, started off at lightweight, went all the way up to heavyweight, right? So, I mean, this has been going on for a while, actually, in boxing, and it's still going on to this day. It's just that the certain parts of the world where this is happening, these guys are not winning necessarily major world titles, so we're not following them. I think of Daigen Thorbella. I think Daigen Thorbella was the guy that beat. No, it wasn't him. It was some other guy. But anyway, Daigen Thorbella. This guy started off at, I think it was lightweight, ended up at super middleweight, becoming a super middleweight world champion. So I'm just saying all of this just to let you know it's quite prevalent and actually something that happens quite a lot in boxing, and people don't know this, right? Um, but back to Manny Pacquiao. So I think there will be another fighter who will win world titles in multiple divisions, especially being inspired by Manny Pacquiao. And we just have to look to see how far those fighters will go. So that's something, again, contrary to popular opinion. And I will present to you, because I know I had a series fighters not talk much about that I was doing, and I'm going to go back to that series because you will not believe how many great fighters do not get the highlight and I want to also use this channel to invite the following people on it. I would like to invite judges who judge fights. I would like to also invite certain fighters onto this program who don't get the shine, but they're alive today. And if they have social media, hopefully we can get this across to them. Maybe I need to devote a Twitter account to these people so that they could come in and we can have some interviews so we can talk with them about their careers, because some of these guys are just have remarkable careers, remarkable accomplishments, but they've never got shine for it. And I'm hoping that this channel will bring to light some of these people, because there's so many great fighters and some of them are alive today. Some of them are old, so maybe their kids or their family may have to get them onto social media. I'm not going to use the phone. I'm not going to interview anybody by phone. We already have the technology where you can, like with StreamYard, you can pop on here and talk live with me as a guest. So I'm not using phones. I don't know why people use phones to call in. That's outdated. Like, we have a phone. I'm on a phone. You know what I'm saying? So once you got the internet, we got social media, we can do the interviews, okay? So I'm not wasting my time using a phone when we can actually see you, an image of you. If you don't want to show your face, we can just have an icon of you. It doesn't matter. All right? That's how we'll conduct affairs. Nothing stops us now from communicating with the world, getting in touch with people, acquire people. What you need is a channel that's very progressive and has a lot of ideas, but we're taking our time. All right? So let's go into Manny Pacquiao's career. Now, the great fighters that Manny Pacquiao faced, the guys who were exceptional in their era, stood out amongst everybody else. I don't care about the conditions under which you face. All we're going to talk about, when you think about it, when you boil down a fighter's career, yes, you can talk about all the weight classes gone through and all of that. But on a fight-to-fight basis, going through weight classes, being undisputed, being unified champ, how many championships you have, these are all very important things. Don't get it twisted. But as the great late Roger Mayweather and old school boxers will tell you, at the end of the day, what's even more important than that is who you face and who you beat. Let's start off with the cream of the crop guys that Manny Pacquiao faced and beat. We've got to start off first and foremost with the very first cream of the crop guy that Manny Pacquiao beat. Now, he wasn't world champion for very long, but he beat the Russian fighter at flyweight. And that is Chachai Sasakul. Quality guy. He's not the greatest fighter. He's not really a great fighter, but I just want to put him there. He's quality, okay? Put him aside for a minute, okay? So what Manny Pacquiao is really known for is beating Marco Antonio Barrera, one of the great Mexican fighters today, okay? Marco Antonio Barrera, who is no longer boxing, obviously. He's retired and he's gone into, I believe he's a lawyer. He is actually, he was at this peak when Manny Pacquiao beat him. People say he was long in the tooth. I disagree, because he had just come off a 4-fight winning streak against really badass featherweights, okay? Marco Antonio Barrera was the pinnacle of featherweight, and Manny Pacquiao beat him. And I'm not about beat him like it was a close or something. Blitzed him. Okay, he blitzed him. Now, Okay, peoples, that just happened. Yeah, it just happened. Sorry about that. Pacquiao blitzed him. And when I say he blitzed him, let me make it abundantly clear, right? Marco Antonio Barrera was a boxer. He outboxed. I mean, he disciplined Prince Nassim Hamed. He disciplined that boy. He put him in check. Okay? If you guys want to comment, feel free to throw in your congratulations to Manny Pacquiao, whatever you want to do. Say your piece, because this is Pacquiao's time a little bit. This little segment here. Okay? He blitzed that boy. He blitzed him. That is one of Pacquiao's pinnacle. I say, and I'm going to say it again, even though Marco Antonio Barrera was stripped to the WBC or he threw it away, he was the lineal champion. He was undisputed. Well, he wasn't the undisputed, but he was the man at the division. He was the lineal champion. Ain't nobody beating Marco Antonio Barrera. He beat Eric Morales. He just recently beat Eric Morales, and they went on a winning streak, beating everybody in his path, till he met Manny Pacquiao. And Barrera could box. We all know this. He had the fundamentals down. He could scrap, but he could box. He had good defense. Pacquiao blitzed that dude. And that's what started the legend of Pacquiao. Before all of that, he had Leo De La Waba, we had Agapito Sanchez, we had Nadal Hussein. That was a great fight. He had, he hadn't yet faced the Russian guy. He had faced the Russian dude too. And got dropped and all kinds of things. He hadn't yet faced those fights, but this was the hallmark. He had come out of oblivion. We didn't know nothing about Pacquiao. We only learned about Pacquiao after he beat Leo Ledwaba. Was a quality all-round boxer. But the first great boxer that Manny Pacquiao beat was Marco Antonio Barrera in his prime. Okay? The second great boxer that Manny Pacquiao faced was Juan Manuel Marquez. What makes Juan Manuel Marquez's name so epic was the epic quaternary that he had with Manny Pacquiao. Epic. Juan Manuel Marquez will go down in history as one of the greatest fighters ever because of his rivalry with Pacquiao. Because of his rivalry with Pacquiao. At no point in time could Pacquiao ever say that he never had a to and fro life and death fight with Marquez. He can never say that. That was his custom-made rival. People say, well, Pacquiao got the edge in this fight and he got the edge. That's all you can say. Because ultimately, in the end, they always have close fights. And even the fourth fight was very close. All right? It was a very close fight. Ebb and flow. If Pacquiao fought Marquez tomorrow, you get the same thing. It's always an ebb and flow. They're very close. So this was his nemesis. This was the guy that put a halt to him blitzing through people. He was blitzing through people until he met Juan Manuel Marquez. And yeah, y'all would say Bonsai Singsarat and the other guy that knocked him out. Yeah, okay. Well, he was over. Okay, I'm not going to make excuses for him. Yes, Singsarat did beat him. And Singsarat did go on to be a long reigning world champion. And he never rematched Singsarat. So maybe Singsarat could have been his rival if he'd never been discovered in America and he moved up in weight. But when it comes to Juan Manuel Marquez, the style just meshed so nicely that he was his nemesis for most of his career. Pacquiao got the edge on him in the second fight, and in the third fight, they gave the decisions to Pacquiao. But the fourth fight, because he dropped Marquez in the second fight. In the third fight, he didn't drop Marquez, but they didn't give Marquez the decision because people were saying, well, he didn't drop Marquez, so therefore Marquez won. But ultimately, in the end, Marquez got the last laugh when he knocked out Pacquiao. And he knocked out Pacquiao. Like he was practicing for that. He was building up his strength and everything to knock out Pacquiao. He was like, I need to get this win somehow, some way. Right? So, but this is what makes Pacquiao great. His rivalry with Marquez. And yes, it didn't end with Pacquiao having his hands raised. Instead, he got knocked out. That was the last time Marcus faced him. Marcus never rematched him or nothing after that. But ultimately, in the end, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao was great, and that boosted his legacy by fighting Marquez because there was a guy out there that had Pacquiao's number. That was the beginning of the resistance. He then fought another great in Eric Morales. And Eric Morales beat him in the first fight, right? Beat him in the first fight. And in the second fight that they had, Pacquiao beat Eric Morales. And then the third fight, he beat him again. So he bested him in the best of three. And then with Marquez, he had bested him in the best of four. Okay? So we're talking, if you want to get a feeling of what throwback fights kind of look like and black and white days and, you know, before 1960, Pacquiao's kind of an example of that kind of lifestyle, except in modern times, because it's a whole lot, the boxing game has changed quite a lot since then. Now, that's three greats Pacquiao faced. Who you face, who you beat. Okay, we're not talking about the conditions under which you face them and the conditions in which you beat them. I don't care about that right now. We're just talking straight up the great guys. Three great guys. Okay? Marco Antonio Barrera, Juan Manuel Marquez, and Eric Morales. Now, the fourth great guy was Oscar De La Hoya. Now, I'm going to paint the picture for you guys because we were not privy to this information before, right? We weren't privy to, you know, Oscar being, you know, dehydrating himself and really drying himself out, and we didn't know about it. All we knew was that this lightweight would just destroy David Diaz, who was a good fighter. He was a contemporary Floyd Mayweather, same Olympic team, world champion, just beat David Diaz, beat Eric Morales at lightweight. Isn't that something? Eric Morales had just beaten Jesus Chavez, who had faced Floyd Mayweather, who gave, Jesus Chavez even said it, he knows he thinks he gave Floyd his toughest fight. And I'm going to be real with y'all. If they didn't stop that fight, I don't know what would have happened. Because Jesus Chavez was fighting like a dog, and he was a bad motherfucker until he killed Lavanda Johnson in the ring. He didn't plan on killing him. He died, and he was never the same fighter. And he had injuries. He was never the same fighter after that. Eric Morales beat him. Eric Morales beat him, right? Got a unanimous decision over him. And Jesus Chavez, one of the fights he fought, I think it was Julio Diaz, you know, his knee gave out, and he couldn't continue the fight, which was very sad. But he had suffered a lot of injuries and stuff. He'd never been stopped. He'd never really been stopped. Even against Floyd Mayweather, he didn't really get stopped. It was that, what's his name? Ronnie Shields stopped the fight. He said, "You're taking too much punishment," but really and truly should have put that boy out there and let him fight again. You know, he should have let him continue because he's a bad boy. Jesus Chavez was a bad boy. Jesus Chavez got a 75% knockout ratio. Sorry. No, not him. That was somebody else. I don't remember who that was. I don't remember. No, that's the wrong guy. Sorry, my bad. I mixed up history. Discount what I just said. But the point is, Eric Morales beat Jesus Chavez, okay, who was injured, but nonetheless. He beat Jesus Chavez, and this was coming, I think, 2 months after the Levant. No. Actually, he beat Jesus Chavez at super featherweight. My bad. I'm mixing them up again. Psst. Jesus Chavez at lightweight, that's when he killed Lavanda Johnson. He didn't plan on killing him, but that's how it ended up being. And I believe after that, he faced Julio Diaz. Yeah. My bad. So Jesus Chavez was still in his prime. He was a bad boy. But Eric Morales was able to outbox him. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So David Diaz had beaten Eric Morales, which was his greatest win of his career, right? Just beating Eric Morales. Now, Eric Morales had also lost to, who was it, dude? He had lost to Pacquiao twice, I think, by that point in time. And he had also lost to a guy, I forgot what his name is, Zahir Rahim. Zahir Rahim, he lost to him too. And Zahir Rahim should have faced Pacquiao, but anyway. Y'all don't need to know all that. All I'm saying is he came up from lightweight Okay, he came up from lightweight. Y'all don't need to know all this history. Like, I'm complicating it here. He came up from lightweight, and he jumped all the way up to welterweight to fight Oscar De La Hoya, a welterweight. And most people would say Oscar too big for him. He too big. He won't kill him, right? Because everybody was thinking of the Oscar De La Hoya to face Floyd, right? Just imagine Oscar rehydrating to that Oscar. Woo! That would be an interesting fight, huh? So anyway, I think Pacquiao would still probably might have outboxed him, might have, because he would be catching and popping with certain shots. But it probably do nothing to Oscar. He might have just walked Pacquiao down. I don't know. That Oscar's another story. But that's the image we were getting. So when the fight actually happened, right? When the fight actually happened, and Pacquiao was beating the shit out of Oscar, everybody was just watching in disbelief. We were like, what? Right? If y'all go back in time and think about it, 2008, right? When Pacquiao faced Oscar, we was in disbelief. I remember it. I remember it like yesterday, right? So that was incredible. And that was one of the most incredible performances, just looking at it on the surface. If you was a casual fan or you was a casual fan at the time. And again, if you've not experienced it and you wasn't there in that time, you would say all kinds of other things. But we all know we couldn't believe what we were seeing, right? Not even Shane Mosley did that to Oscar, okay? And Shane Mosley could crack. So that's the fourth great that Manny Pacquiao beat. Then he dropped down to junior welterweight, okay? Dropped down to junior welterweight and faced Ricky Hatton. And I mean, he decimated Ricky Hatton, right? Knocked him out cold in the second round. Cold. Ice cold. That was also exceptionally crazy, right? Because nobody was expecting that of Pacquiao versus Ricky Hatton. Even though we knew Ricky Hatton had gotten slapped by Floyd, he still put up a fight. This fight, he got slept, period. All right, so that's the fifth great. And then he went on to fight a couple fights, and then he fought Miga Cotto. And Miga Cotto, no one stopped Miga Cotto besides Antonio Margarito, who cheated. So Cotto going to this fight, we're saying again, Cotto too big for him. Cotto just too big for him. You know what I mean? And at certain points, Cotto was really putting the hurt on Pacquiao. And so he stopped Cotto in the 11th round. He dropped him twice, and then he stopped him in the 11th round. At least Kenny Bayless stopped the fight. Cotto was looking at Kenny Bayless, and Pacquiao was looking at Kenny Bayless like, are you stopping the fight? For real? Both of them was looking at him with a question, huh? It was funny. But nonetheless, he stopped Miga Cotto. That's the point, okay? This is a dude. We don't expect that. We just watched him in 2007 at lightweight. Now, this dude be taking out welterweights and junior welterweights. We was like astounded. Like everybody, the whole world was like, who is this dude, right? So the whole world learned about Manny Pacquiao in that period of time. This is what made him famous. The period from 2007 to 2009 was what made him his claim to fame. It was, I mean, he knocked out everybody from the end of 2007 with David Diaz all the way up to Miga Cotto. He stopped everybody. Okay? So, but the important thing is Miga Cotto. That's six great fighters that Pacquiao faced. Okay? And then he goes on to do a couple things, you know, he beats Margarito, he beats Colati, and then he faces Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley, he drops him, and Shane Mosley's like, I ain't gonna get knocked out. And Shane Mosley, from then on in, was not engaging like, he was just very defensive. So he beat Shane Mosley. That's the seventh great fighter that Manny Pacquiao faced. Seventh. That's right. You heard me. And then, of course, in 2012, he faced Timothy Bradley, a Hall of Famer, two divisional world champion. The only guy he lost to was Manny Pacquiao. It's the eighth great fighter that Manny Pacquiao faced in his career. And then, of course, after Timothy Bradley lost, after LaMarcus lost, he comes back into boxing and faces Timothy Bradley, avenges his loss to Timothy Bradley twice. And then he faces arguably the best fighter of all time, TBE, Floyd Mayweather. He takes him on. Should have taken him on in 2010. Everybody says that. But they fought. Pacquiao was, at the time, the second best welterweight in the welterweight division, and he was the third best fighter in all of boxing. Behind, I believe it was Vladimir Klitschko and Floyd because of their records. Anyways, man, and Klitschko's on a roll. Anyway, man, Pacquiao took on Floyd Mayweather, the one guy he had not taken on, and to complete his whole, fidelity. That is the ninth great that he faced. Now, he lost the fight. And, it is what it is. But ultimately, in the end, this dude faced 9 great fighters. Boxing's all about who you face and who you beat. He faced 9 great fighters. Undisputably 9. Undisputably great fighters. They're all the great fighters I just spoke about are multiple weight champions. All of them. Multiple weight champions. And they all faced the who's who of their time as well. All right? Miguel Cotto went on to face Floyd Mayweather. He did lose to him too. But then he went on to become he went on to become super welterweight and middleweight champion of the world. Okay? And he started off a junior welterweight. So he was a junior welterweight champion. He was a welterweight champion. He was a super welterweight champion. And he was a middleweight champion. He made history because he is the greatest Puerto Rican fighter in the sense that he broke the record for a number of weight classes that a Puerto Rican fighter has won. At men's Puerto Rican fighter has won. All right. He now has the record. He has 4 divisional world titles. Tito had 3. Okay. And then, you think that's all? No, we're not done. He also, when we talk about Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, he went on to fight still after Floyd Mayweather. So after he had faced Floyd Mayweather, when people were saying he should retire, he went on to fight. He fought Timothy Bradley again, beat him. He fought Jesse Vargas, who was then the WBO champion. He beat him. Okay. He went on to face Jeff Horn, lost to him. Then he bounced back and beat Lucas Matisse, and he also beat Adrian Broner. And then he went on to beat Keith one-time Thurman. What I consider his greatest win of his entire career was him beating Keith Thurman, because there ain't no question marks. There's no asterisks on that. People like to say, well, Keith Thurman didn't look so good against whatever the guy's name is, Josecito Lopez. I'm going to say this. Josecito Lopez always gives all kinds of problems to all kinds of fighters. I don't care if you're Canelo or whoever. He always comes up with something. The fact that Keith Thurman rode through that and dominated this dude for every single round except for the 7th round, you can't say nothing. There's no excuses for Keith Thurman. He lost that fight. He dropped the ball. That was on him. That had nothing to do with his arm, his shoulder, none of that shit, because he outlanded Pacquiao, okay? And he had a higher connect percentage, but Pacquiao dropped him in the 1st round, and that's on him. That had nothing to do with his shoulder. All right? It had nothing to do with his shoulder. He dropped him, okay? And then he hit him with a body shot in the 10th round. That had nothing to do with his shoulder either. So when people say he had shoulder, he wasn't refined enough, he didn't get enough fights, that's rubbish, okay? That's excuses. Let's stop with that. That is the greatest performance of Manny Pacquiao's career. Why? Well, first of all, it's at the highest weight class that Manny Pacquiao has ever been at and campaigned at, mind you. He had one little stint with Antonio Margarito at 154. Well, it was a catchweight at 150, but whatever. The point is, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao beat Keith Thurman. And I'm going to say this. I'm not even going to make it if about to maybe. At 40 years of age, to do that to a prime fighter who's at the top of his game, Oh no, 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 no. That is the greatest achievement. There's no asterisks on it. You can put asterisks on Oscar De La Hoya, Keith Miga Cotto. You can put asterisks on even the Ricky Hatton fight. You can't put no asterisks on Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman was top three best welterweight at the time, but he was the best welterweight in the world just about a year or so ago. There was no way. I even thought Keith Thurman was going to win the fight. You know, I thought that too. And Pacquiao pulled it off. He pulled that shit off. And I'm going to say this right now. Dude's legit. He's legit. So whatever dude want to say he is, dude, whatever you want to say you are, I bow down and I say he is what he is. If he says he's the greatest, he's the greatest. If he says he's whatever, he is what he is. One thing about me you want to understand in boxing is I'm a boxing fan. And I'm still looking at boxing history. And I look at all the great things boxers did through history. But I'm going to say this. Out of all the boxers in the boxing history, if you're talking pound for pound, greatest fighters in the world, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao is top 10, top 5. Period. And I'm looking at boxing history. I've seen what guys done. And I've seen what they did. Now, don't get it twisted. I believe Floyd Mayweather is ranked a little higher than Manny Pacquiao. All right? And I may be biased or skewed in my opinion of boxing because I come from the philosophy that boxing as a sport continues to evolve and the boxers tend to get better and better with time. So that no matter how far back you go and all the remarkable things you guys think these guys in the past did, and I've watched footage on them, I think that the present boxers today, even though there's less rounds, even though we got more weight classes, even though we got more belts, okay? Even in spite of all those things, the cream of the crop always rise to the top, right? So you take away the belts, you take away all that stuff, and you say who you face, who you beat. When you look at how many good fighters Pacquiao faced and beat, and then how many great fighters Manny Pacquiao faced and beat, I just told you he faced 9 great fighters. And who's know what will happen with the fighters that he currently fights, like Keith Thurman. We don't know if he'll be a great fighter or not. Adrian Broner, he's done a lot of great things, but his career is nowhere over. So we don't know if he'll be a great fighter or not. Right? The jury's out on that because these guys' careers are not over. Almost all the guys I just mentioned that Pacquiao, the great fighters, I could call them great fighters because their careers are over. They're done. Pacquiao's the last of the Mohicans. He's the last of the greats of his era. Now, just listen to those freaking names, man. Marco Antonio Barrera. I'm going to repeat them for you guys to understand how great this man is and what kind of era he was in. We didn't want to talk about the era because the era was crazy. You know, because Pacquiao come from mid-90s all the way up to 2021. The era that Pacquiao really belongs to is the Mayweather era, right? Which is from 1996 all the way up to 2015. He really belonged to that era. He shouldn't even be in 2021 right now fighting. That's the first thing. It's just crazy. Just think about it. This guy belongs to 1995 all the way up to 2015. That would have been 20 years, right? That's the era he belongs to. Now think about this. All the people from his era, they retired and they're done with boxing when he's still fighting. All. He entered into a totally new era, which where right now Canelo's the man at the era. But it's kind of up in the air who the real man is, right? Canelo, right? And think about this every time I think about it, it blows my mind. Pacquiao's an incredible fighter, right? Pacquiao's like a modern Henry Armstrong. Pacquiao's like a modern Ted Kid Lewis. Pacquiao's like a modern Jimmy McLaren, right? He's like a modern one of those guys, right? This motherfucker, Floyd beat him. And then the current reigner of this era, who's Canelo Alvarez, arguably pound for pound the #1 fighter in the world, even in spite of Usyk winning the way he did. Floyd beat him. Think about that. We're going to put that on pause. We're going to put that on pause. Right? that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. No matter how I look at it, Mayweather's one of them crazy looking guys, man. He just crazy. When you think about what he did, but again, everybody's not retired. So what I'm saying is, we don't know how great Canelo is. We know he's a great. He's already proven himself to be an all-time great. And regardless of whether he wins against Caleb Plant or not, he's been fighting the tougher fights. The guys who I think are ranked number one. I thought that, even though I didn't agree that Callum Smith was the number one fighter out there, and I thought Canelo was going to beat his ass because Callum Smith doesn't got no inside game. And you saw what Canelo would do if you ain't got no inside game. They rated Callum Smith as the lineal champion in the division. He beat him. 2. Billy Joe Saunders, I thought was I thought he was the best, actually, in the division. He proved me wrong. He proved to me that he don't have the confidence to be the best. He had the skills. He had the ability. He didn't have the discipline, and he didn't have the confidence to be the best. So he proved me wrong, and I was able to make the correct decision. I said, Canelo gonna beat that ass. When I see he didn't show up for the press conference, I immediately said this ain't no 50-50 fight. I thought it was. It is not. He about to get his ass beat because he not interested in fighting. And Canelo said that motherfucker better fight because otherwise he gonna get so sued. Anyways, man, Canelo's a bad motherfucker. No doubt about it. No ifs or buts or maybe, but he's up. He up against Callum Smith right now, and I'm that Callum Smith, Caleb Plant, and I'm gonna say this: Caleb Plant ain't laying down for nobody. This is gonna be a fight. Now, whether Canelo comes out the winner or not doesn't change his status, in my opinion, in terms of how great a fighter he is, just based on his history and everything. Do I think he is? Will he be pound for pound number one? Absolutely not. He will come down from his throne columns. And Caleb Plant will rise. He won't be pound for pound number one. Usyk probably will take it, but he'll be in the top 5 for sure if he beats Canelo, and he'll also make history being the first super middleweight champion. Of course, Canelo will have a rematch clause, and they'll have to face each other again. If Caleb Plant don't win, will he have a rematch clause? I don't know. Will Canelo honor that? I don't know. It depends on the manner in which Canelo beats him. But if he has to face Caleb Plant again, and it was a good fight, sure, hell with it. Hell, why not? Right? Let's move on. So after that, let me make it abundantly clear to you. Pound for pound, man, them two guys, Pacquiao and Mayweather, they up there. They're top 5, top 10 all-time pound for pound fighters. I'm not going to go as far as to say Mayweather is number 1 and then Pacquiao is number 2. Out of respect right now for a bunch of people out there who believe that Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Robinson are pound for pound 1 and 2. Okay? Out of respect for them. It's out of respect for the OGs. But to be honest with you, they dethroned them guys a long time ago. In fact, the guys who I think deserve to be pound for pound number 1 ain't got nothing to do with them guys. If anything, maybe Henry Armstrong. You know what I'm saying? Sugar Ray Robinson, he was cool. But really, he also just was a 2-divisional world champion like Floyd. Floyd was lightweight and welterweight. Sugar Ray Robinson was welterweight and middleweight. But here's the difference. Floyd, when he lightweight and welterweight, when he was lightweight and welterweight, he was handling his business. Sugar Ray Robinson, on the other hand, he was handling his business, but not really at the same time. They had some good fighters of his day that got a one-up on him. Like, they drew with him, and it was a good fighter like this dude who was 2-time world champion. What a kid name? It'll come to me, man. Whatever. They beat him at middleweight. You know what I'm saying? Now, the dude did also become middleweight champion again, a vacant title kind of thing that went on. But dude was a good fighter. He wasn't a great fighter, but people will say, "Oh, he was a great fighter." But I don't think he was a great fighter. But he could box. Boy could box. He didn't have a good chin though. He got dropped he get dropped. You chin checked him, he dropped like a fly. He was like a miracle. You know what I mean? He'll come to me. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Randy Turpin, that's the name. Randolph Turpin. Good fighter. Got dropped 16 times in his career. 16 times, bro. 16. Oh, come on. So he shouldn't have. Sugar Ray Robinson never lost to that dude. Never. That's like a Lennox Lewis moment. You know what I mean? He beat him though. He beat him. He got it back. But I'm just saying. And dude was a good fighter. Don't get it twisted. He's like Hasim Rahman, two-time world champion. You know what I mean? So don't get it twisted. But nowhere on the caliber of Sugar Ray Robinson, man. You shouldn't have this dude. This dude should never have beaten you. You know what I'm saying? You dropped the ball. You dropped the ball, and you struggle with the dude. You know what I'm saying? Because dude could box. Don't get it twisted. Now, my point anyway is, not that, but out of respect for Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali, I do not put Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao as 1 and 2 yet. I'm going to break it down. And I'm going to talk to you guys about why they are pound for pound 1 and 2. But I'm not going to jeopardize the status quo at the present point in time, even though them two guys, actually Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali, they down the totem pole when you look at some other fighters that I have not mentioned. When I educate you guys on the caliber of fighters that came after them dudes, y'all gonna say, because we all know that it ain't about how many fights you had, okay? It's about the caliber of opposition you face. Roger Mayweather said it. Of course, it's the conditions under which you face him. That's why I mentioned Manny Pacquiao's great fighters that he faced. Then he faced a whole slew of good fighters. We're talking about, if there's 9 great fighters, Manny Pacquiao faced 26 good fighters. That's the best way to put it. 26. He beat 21 of them. 26 good. Oh, hold on. No. Let me rephrase that. 26 world champions he faced. Actually, in terms of good fighters, you had Nate Elderson, who never became a world champion. You had, there was another guy that was a good fighter. I'm trying to remember who he was. So in all, actually, he's 28, and he beat 23 of them. All right? Mayweather faced 24, and he beat 24 of them. That's a lot of fighters, bro. Now throwback fighters, they would have done. Now Sugar Ray Robinson, if I'm not mistaken, he faced I think how much he faced, 31 or something like that, and he beat like 19, I think, or something like that. I think that's how the figures went. Some of them he drew it, some of them he beat him, But anyway, it was crazy, the numbers that Sugar Ray Robinson did. Crazy numbers. But again, a lot of fights. 200 and something fights to make that happen. I'm not saying that Sugar Ray Robinson was not a good fighter. Obviously, he was a great fighter. My point anyway is, you look at a Charlie Burley, out of the night, I think he had 90 something fights, something like that. And out of them 90 something fights, he faced 15 reputable fighters. 15. And out of that 15, he also faced and beat great fighters. See what I'm saying? Harry Krebs, he faced I think it was 22 or 23 reputable fighters of his time, and great fighters of his time, the exceptional ones that rose above all of them other guys. He faced, I think it was 14 of them or something like that. 13 or 14. He faced a lot. Didn't beat all of them, but he faced a lot. All right? And of course, with the evolution of time, them guys could get their ass wiped. Now, like the guys today are just way advanced than them, And fundamentals of boxing, and even some of the tricks in boxing, the check hooks and all of that stuff, the guys and they had it. But the way, the pacing, and just the way how fights were done is just totally different to today. Just a lot of stuff is just different now. So I see some guys like Lee Wiley and these guys, they come around and say, well, they used to check hook back in the day, and they used to approach southpaws like this. And I'm like, yeah, cool. But there's a lot more to boxing than just those things. Those are basics. Some of the fundamentals fundamental things of different approaches to different fighters. All right. So anyway, but man, there's so much to say. Um, Manny Pacquiao, man, he's up there. He in the top 5, top 10 greatest fighters of all time, pound for pound. Greatest fighters of all time, pound for pound, no doubt about it. Um, along with Mayweather, he and Mayweather always, their names are always going to be matched with each other. You're going to hear about, if you hear about Mayweather, you're going to hear about Pacquiao. If you're going to hear about Pacquiao, you're going to hear about Mayweather. Even though these guys never really had a physical rivalry, they only had one fight. And you're going to hear about them because Pacquiao was a great fighter in Mayweather's time. He just levels above everybody else, and then Mayweather was levels above everybody else. It's just what it is. So to Manny Pacquiao, one of the most wonderful things about Manny Pacquiao is possibilities. What Manny Pacquiao created for all of us, you, me, everybody else, is he showed us what was possible. He showed us don't write off people just because of where they come from or their size or how they look. He showed us possibilities. He taught us a really inspiring lesson, which is that all things are possible with God. And as a Christian, I appreciate that, what he brought to the table. And, to this day, he's very inspiring, even now. And you could tell Manny Pacquiao could have been anything he wanted to be in his career because, he'd been a singer, he's an actor, he had his own basketball league, he's a great pool player, he's in politics, he's helping his community out with boats and housing and all of that stuff, his province. And you can tell that he's a philanthropist. He likes to support, help people. He was with the COVID relief stuff, and he gets involved in all those things. This man could be anything he want to be, and that's beautiful because this what it shows me is that it don't matter where you come from, it don't matter where you come from, and I know Floyd's the same thing, but the point is it don't matter where you come from. You know what I mean? He's also a great businessman. He got his own promotional company in boxing. He's working with Al Heyman right now. I mean, Manny Pacquiao is a dream, man. He's great. Now, he had a lot of support to get him out of his situation. A lot of sponsors and a lot of people in the Philippines, a lot of families. You hear him thanking a lot of families for their support and help to him to make it to that point. But the point is, you can be the best that you could be. And Pacquiao keep on showing us you can be the best you could be. Yes, you make mistakes as a human being. Yes, you may fail at things, but you can be the best that you could be. And I wish him the best in everything. I hope he becomes president of the Philippines. That would be remarkable. The first boxer to become president of a country. That would be some crazy stuff right there. And you could tell he has the know-how, the understanding how to, and a vision for what he wants to help people move forward in his country. So I'm looking forward to that. So he just first of all kinds of things. He be the first of all kinds of things. The oldest welterweight champion and all kinds of stuff, right? Manny Pacquiao is great, man. He great. He was great for boxing, just like Mayweather was great for boxing. Unfortunately, everybody don't agree with me on that. But he definitely, Mayweather, even to this day, Mayweather be thinking outside the box. Even these events that he's been putting on. And now more boxers and Mike Tyson being in the equation now is just a great thing. Just hearing Mike Tyson talk about stuff. I mean, I agree with everything Mike Tyson do, but he's adding excitement to boxing. He's not an old fogey just shitting on the younger fighters. He's trying to encourage them to face each other. I love that about Mike. I love that he's kind of like a talkative mentor in the open. Lennox Lewis, I could see he's trying to help now Anthony Joshua. But I'm gonna check Lennox Lewis anytime he try to critique Anthony Joshua, and that comes to now the point that I want to make. Malik Scott comes to Anthony Joshua's defense saying anybody trying to critique Anthony Joshua, anybody trying to say that Anthony Joshua's not good. Hold on a second. Just wanted to get this done. Yeah, saying that he a bum and that, oh, look, he couldn't even beat Usyk. The people quick to condemn, the people quick just because they're disappointed or whatever, to talk. He said, I don't want to know you. I'm gonna block you from my Twitter. I'm gonna block you from my Instagram. Don't be friendly. You know, because he saw what happened to Deontay Wilder, how people down Deontay Wilder. And he's seen what they're trying to do with Anthony Joshua. And he said it wasn't about how poor Anthony Joshua was in his strategy. It was that Usyk's that good. He said that man is like, that man is like a fine master of boxing. Okay? And because he sparred him and everything. I'm so glad Malik Scott said that, because I want Lennox Lewis to understand this. You are old, great. I don't know what's your issue with Anthony Joshua, but even if you critique Anthony Joshua, man, I heard George Foreman say Anthony Joshua, he looked like he afraid or some kind of thing. Anthony Joshua isn't afraid of shit. What you saw was a master boxer take a great heavyweight to school. That's what you saw. He was steps behind Usyk every step of the way. And Malik Scott knows this, because Malik Scott knows boxing. I'm not saying I'm not professing that I know boxing like that. I'm just a fan until I get in the ring and I do my thing. Okay? But I'm going to say this. Usyk took Anthony Joshua to school. He schooled him. And if Anthony Joshua takes that schooling to heart and he listens to the people around him in terms of approach to Usyk, he will do better. He might even beat Usyk. And then Usyk will say fair play to you, because Usyk's trying to teach him things. Usyk taught him some stuff in the ring. This is for Anthony Joshua to be a better boxer. It's a growth process. Y'all don't understand it. Boxing community, let me tell you something about boxing, right? It's a fraternity. Everybody know everybody in there. I was listening to Bill Haney when he was explaining on the Boxing Voice to, I think it was Punch Drunk Boxing. He said this is a fraternity, because Punch Drunk Boxing is trying to needle Bill Haney and say, and Bill Haney didn't articulate it very well. It was taking too long to break it down. But I'm gonna break it down for Bill Haney, okay? So basically, it's a fraternity, meaning everybody know everybody. It's a small circle in there, okay? So that means that Bill Haney knows Eddie Hearn. Okay? Bill Haney knows Bob Arum. Bill Haney knows Al Heyman. Bill Haney knows all these different promoters and managers in the business, Tim Duncan, etc. Okay? What that means is, if they want to get a fight with one of them guys' fighters, they go and talk to them first. You see? So let's talk about the Gary Russell Jr. situation just really quickly. I'm going to break it down so you guys can understand. Bill Haney went to Gary Russell, right? My boy, Devin Haney, he responded to Gary Russell. When he saw Gary Russell was calling out Terrence Crawford to face him, he said, hey, man, don't bypass me. You going all the way up to welterweight to fight Terrence Crawford when you can fight me? So he made that statement. So the first thing Bill Haney did when Devin Haney called out the charges, Gary Russell responded to him saying you could get it, right? Is Bill Haney didn't go to Gary Russell. He went to Al Heyman first and talked with Al Heyman. Okay? And Al Heyman and Gary Russell then went to Al Heyman. And Gary Russell said, I want to do this. And Al Heyman was like, that's not in your best interest, though. And Gary Russell even said that in his thing. In other words, there was no term sheet. You don't get to no term sheet. The first thing you need to do is talk to the people involved. Okay? You talk to the people involved in the background. And the people involved in the background will tell you, oh, you can proceed and see if the fighter wanted. All right? You watch it. Devin Haney with the same thing with what the little kid name who trying to face Javante Tank Davis right now. Whatever the kid name is. I can't remember his name right now, right? First thing they do after they talk to the kid say he want, like he's saying, oh, I'm going to face you, I'm going to fuck you up, whatever. What did he do? He go to Floyd. Bill Haney called Floyd Mayweather. And Devin Haney called Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather said, okay, yeah, sure. If the kid wanted, he can get it. All right? I forget what the kid name is. He's a Cuban black kid, right? Right. So basically you have to talk with these people. There's not going to be no terms of agreement. You ain't going to just throw terms of agreement to somebody you don't know. It's people in this closed fraternity, so they understand what is going on. You know, Bob Arum is in that fraternity. Okay, Bob Arum moves his fighters a certain way. Okay, Bob Arum knows you have to talk with Bob Arum before you can deal with Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez, look at it. Teofimo Lopez went behind Bob Arum back trying to make a fight. Right? He trying to make a fight. He went to purse bid. Triller got it. And look what's going on. Because Teofimo Lopez didn't go through the right channel. He was supposed to work with Bob. What happened when Kell Brook just went behind Eddie Hearn's back and made a fight with Terrence Crawford? Eddie Hearn ain't doing nothing with Kell anymore because the trust is broken. Right? My point being, Kell could do whatever he wants, but you got a promoter. The promoter's supposed to promote you. You're supposed to go through him. You know? So, by and large, I'm saying all of this, which is just kind of roundabout thing, but the point is everybody understand everybody. So people talk to each other, and that's when we know, okay, this fight might be available, this might. And then you start sending offers because then the other person, they're having a conversation with you. But most of the time, it's just a conversation. Why people waste time trying to make up a contract and send an offer? You make up all this, you get all your lawyers to draft up stuff. That costs money to pay the lawyers to draft up an offer, and the dude don't want it. You listen to Teofimo Lopez's language, he not talking like he wanted to fight with Devin Haney. He's saying it in one breath, and then in the next breath, he's talking about how much money you need to get paid and stuff. That's just not making no sense. So once you say that in the public, you know, when we go behind closed doors, I talk to your promoter and stuff. And the promoter say, don't listen to him. He just saying stuff. Don't listen to him. Because really, you got to do the deal with the promoter, your boss. Like Floyd Mayweather say, Pacquiao had a boss. I had to talk to Pacquiao boss. That's the only way we're going to negotiate the fight. If the boss don't want Pacquiao to face me, there's nothing I can do about it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not just about you being your own boss. I hear a lot of people say, well, Devin Haney, just like with Floyd, Devin Haney's his own boss. They should be able to do this or make offer. And I'm like, no, homie. You got to go boss to boss. If the other boss say no, right, verbally, why are you going to draft up something? What you put it in writing for? And wasting all this energy and time and money and resources drafting up an offer for? A term sheet, as they call it, which is a pre-contract thing. What terms? They ain't no terms because the promoter bluntly told you, you ain't getting Lomachenko. Bob Arum told Billy Amy, you're not getting Lomachenko. You talk to Bob Arum will tell you the same thing. I'll tell you, and Bob Arum ain't got no problem saying that. And why should Bob Arum give Devin Haney Lomachenko when he's got Teofimo Lopez in his company? In-house, go with in-house. Let's make sense. Let's make sense of this. Why would Oscar De La Hoya let Jojo Diaz he has to go into a co-promotion with Devin Haney on the zone for Jojo Diaz to face Devin Haney? All right? When he has a fighter in his stable who could face Jojo Diaz. So this is how Oscar De La Hoya thinking. He's like, I don't have to pay all this cross promotion and all that. We got it all set up with DAZN already. I got my deal with DAZN. We on the same network. I'm going to have him face Ryan first before he go out and face Devin, because he knows. Oscar know enough boxing to know Jojo is not a joke, and he would eat Ryan raw. So unless Oscar out of his mind, I wouldn't put Ryan in with Jojo right now. I just wouldn't do that. But Oscar don't care about Ryan like that. So he going to put Ryan to the wolves. And Ryan better know what he doing if he going to sign that deal. He better know what he doing, because Jojo ain't no fucking joke. That ain't somebody you just knocking out like Luke Campbell. Bro. Dude got defense. Dude got reflexes. Dude will walk your ass down on the inside. You better know how to infight, Ryan. I'm going to tell you that right now. You better know how to infight, because that boy going to beat your ass. Jojo going to beat you up. I'm telling you. I'm letting you know now, Ryan. That's Jojo Diaz. You're going to have some respect for him, because he's on the rise, and Jojo's going to do just greater and greater and greater things. And all Jojo have to do, I pray to God, Jojo, hold it together. I don't care what kind of, all the other problems you have, them psychological problems, bro, just hold it together, bro. You on the verge becoming a very, very, very big name in boxing if you just hold it together. Because ain't nobody, I'm telling you, nobody just beats JoJo Diaz. Nobody. All JoJo got to do is hold it together, though. And you got some great old school trainers and stuff, JoJo. You ain't no joke. I remember Errol Spence 2 years ago talking about JoJo Diaz. Like, he the real deal. You the real deal, brother. Son, you the real deal. Okay? JoJo, I've been watching you from a long time ago. And they was like, oh, he not really a power puncher because, you know, he not so exciting because he ain't no power puncher. I remember what they did you, Joe. I remember what they did you. I remember. They had Frankie Gomez ahead of you. Where's Frankie Gomez now? Don't hear about him no more. Right? They gave Frankie Gomez that decision. I never forgot, JoJo. You a bad boy. You real bad boy. They have no idea. So that's a well-kept secret that Oscar does not know the talent he has. He would never, he should have treated Canelo so well. Canelo was an incredible talent. And now, an incredibly gifted fighter, actually. He gifted. He's not just talented. And JoJo's talented, and also he's well-schooled. JoJo will plow through the lightweight division. Plow through it. JoJo ain't no joke. He beat Tevin Farmer, ladies and gentlemen. Tevin Farmer. All right? JoJo's no joke. Okay, and then suppose the boogeyman, he beat Fortuna, right? Javier Fortuna, dirty, kind of rugged. JoJo beat his ass. Hands down, walk him down too. That's the defense that man had. So I'm going to say this. I would love to see JoJo Diaz versus Devin Haney. Love to see it. Because Devin can fight a little bit on the inside. JoJo will carry him through the ringer. Might even beat his ass. JoJo versus Teofimo Lopez. I got JoJo. Teofimo can't fuck with JoJo. I'm going to say it again. Teofimo, big Teofimo. JoJo fuck him up. All right, I may be getting a little fanboyish, but JoJo he's been through the fire, man. He's been through the fire. He ready. I just have to hold it together. You got to hold it together. You got to hold it together. Your time is now, JoJo. You could spoil a lot of people. They're going to duck and dodge your ass when they realize what's really up. A lot of them going to duck and dodge you. You a bad boy. That's a bad boy. JoJo Diaz. All right. Notice I said it over and over again. I want people to understand. I remember Errol Spence saying it 2 years ago. I just watched the clip a little while back. That's a bad boy. I'm telling y'all again. That dude is a bad boy. He ain't afraid of nobody. So anyways, man. A shout out to Malik Scott. Deontay Wilder's corner. Wilder got to handle his story with Tyson Fury. He got hands full in this rematch. And Malik Scott's trying to get him ready. And I just hope that Deontay Wilder does better. That's all I got. My expectations are that high. So once he does better than he did in the second fight and the first fight, because he can do a lot of things. Deontay is a very good boxer. Again, I'm going to say it again. A lot of people don't understand. Deontay Wilder is a very good boxer. You don't become world champion and you're not a very good boxer. A lot of people always down on Deontay Wilder and always saying some shit about him. He can do a lot of things. And he play around and experiment with a lot of things. So he's a heavyweight. So what do you expect? He's not Floyd Mayweather. He's not Alexander Usyk. Okay. He's not that. He's not a master boxer. He's learning still on the job. Okay. He's learning still on the job. Okay. How long has he been pro? For how many years? Okay. How long has he even been in boxing? For how many years? Okay then. So let's be real here, man. We gotta be realistic. He's doing very, very well for a fighter that's only been in boxing like maybe 10 years, 12 years, tops. You know, most of these fighters here, they got long amateur careers and then they got long pro careers. He's doing very, very well. What is wrong with you people? All right? And yes, he can box. He can't box like a master boxer. He's not a master boxer, but he is a very competent boxer. Just that against a master boxer, he gonna look stupid. All right, against Tyson Fury, the second fight, he looked like he was a non-existent entity. Okay, against Tyson Fury in the first fight, he struggled. Right, he got about 3 rounds, 2 3 rounds maybe. Right, because Tyson Fury that much better at boxing than he is. But that's Tyson Fury. And another thing I want to say, I applaud Deontay Wilder on taking the baddest motherfucker in boxing. Tyson Fury's the baddest dude in boxing. You decided to go after him. You bad boy. Props to Deontay Wilder on that too. You know, because I had nothing but love for these boxers. They say some crazy shit sometimes, but I had nothing but love for them. Okay, I got nothing but love for boxers. Because I'm gonna be one too. Right? Hopefully my first fight turns out pretty good, not tragic. So all my point is I got ultimate respect for you dudes, man. All of y'all, from throwback guys to guys today. And I'm looking at the trainers and stuff, and I'm looking at all these great trainers. There's so many secret weapons out there. So many secret weapons, and some of them are untapped. We got world champions from all over the world. Dude, if a dude be a world champion, you pick his brain. I don't care who he is. You pick his brain. You get them to talk some boxing with you. I know 2 world champions in my country. I'm going to pick their brains. I'm coming for you guys. Once you guys are alive and healthy, I'm going to talk with y'all. I got to find out everything I can find out from you. Because you guys going to be much smarter now, much wiser now than you were back then. But you also have the champion mentality, and you know what it is to get to be a world champion. Man, you pick all their brains. I look at my boy Caleb Plant. He was taxing the brain of James Toney. You know, and James Toney was showing him different things. You know what it is to get some little advice and little encouragement from a all-time great like James Toney? I'm not trying to make it all spectacular, but I'm just saying I'm gonna pick his brain. I would pick his brain. I want to find out what, if I could get, I get, 1 or 2. And I'm watching his exact movements. You gotta understand what he's doing with the feint and try and get that feel in the ring. See what I'm saying? You pick their brains. Any one of these great fighters, they may not be great trainers, but one thing you can get is advice from them. They got all kinds of tricks up their sleeve, all kinds of little tricks, and you have to learn. And the more information you get, some of it will not be applicable to you, depending on your defense, depending on your offense, the way how you do things. So you might try it out and say, "Oh, that's enough for me." But at the end of the day, it's good to have that knowledge of it for your opponent, because what do I do to counter that? What do I do to outplay that? And you run that scenario in your head and you try it out in the ring. And you look to see if a fighter's doing that. And if the fighter's not doing it, then you get your coach or trainer, when you do work or whatever, to simulate it. You say, I saw this fighter and he was telling me to do this and do this. I want to see how I could counter that. So could you give me a little mitt work to what would I do to counter that? What I need to do there? To try to. You tell your coach so you can do. I understand. This is a thinking man sport, man. And you got to arm yourself with weapons. You got to arm yourself with as many weapons and as much armor as you can to go into battle. Now, Roy Jones Jr. talked about it being like, it's your territory, it's your block, it's your street. That's one approach to it. I agree. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be war. And it's fair. The terms are fair. So it's about war. You're going to battle. You're not going to nothing else. This is a battle. You're not friends. Okay? You might have been friends, but once we get in that ring, it's war. And when I say it's war, it's to the death. I want you guys to understand the mentality of a boxer. When you go in that ring, you're not going in there to kumbaya and be friends. You're going in there understanding this. And that's why you sign a waiver. You're going in there to kill and be killed. That's what boxing is. That's why it's not a sport necessarily. It's a blood sport. You're going in there with a frame of mind to take this guy down. When a knockout is like I killed a guy with my hands. A knockout, that's what a knockout eventually is. It's the last man standing. You see what I'm saying? So ultimately, that's what's very definitive in boxing. It is a very cruel sport in that respect. It's fair though. You got same rules for that guy as you, and you're going at one another. But ultimately, in the end, if you can see a way to knock the guy out, you take him out. You take him out. That's how cruel the sport is. So it's about killing and being killed. That's what it's all about. That's the mentality you go in there with. It's not a mentality that is suitable for living with people. Okay? It is literally war. So I need people to understand that. This is not a joke. You're not going in there. It's not a sport in that respect. Mentally, you're no longer in the frame of mind. You're not in a frame of mind to where you are interested in coexisting with human beings. When you go in that ring, you're not interested in coexisting. You're literally thinking of destruction on your mind. Your mind is only thinking of ways to annihilate the target in front of you. Okay? So it's not the same frame of mind that is necessary for living with people and getting along with people, because you're not going in there thinking of your opponent as a human. You're thinking of it as something to be destroyed. Okay? And that's the difference. That's the mentality you have to have in boxing. I don't care who you are. Okay? If you're going in there and you're a little tentative in any way, shape, or form, that is weakness, and you will be destroyed. Okay? And so you have to understand that that's what makes it dangerous. It's the mentality that you have to go into the ring. And almost every single boxer out there will tell you, they don't tell you that they're mad or angry or anything. That's not, but the frame of mind is, I'm wired in, I'm dialed in on focus. It's almost like, those fighter jet pilots where they see targets, right? And they bomb targets or they bomb planes. They're not thinking, no longer are we thinking of human beings. We don't think of the opponent as human like ourselves, somewhat. How do I put it? He's like target points. He's like target practice. It's like, I'm targeting something, right? And I'm focused in on what I want to target and destroy. It's kind of like that. All right. And so you're really wired in on you're literally a destructive machine at that point in time. You're wired in on just destroying the thing. Now, some guys, they actually get a heart. I was watching Julio Cesar Chavez versus Tony the Tiger Lopez, with Tony the Tiger Lopez's eyes was closing up. And Chavez looked at the referee like, you want to stop this fight? Because Chavez was dialed in, and he started to realize what he was doing to Tony. And he sort of kind of disengaged himself. And he was like, I can't kill this dude. I feel like I'm going to kill him. And he kind of disengaged and he held back. And he was looking at the ref like, ref, this guy's defenseless, man. Like, what are we doing here? Call the fight. And so, but when you're wired in, you're not seeing your opponent like that. You're just thinking of your opponent as like a target, something to destroy. So, it's weird, man. It's weird how cruel human beings can be once given a leeway and certain rules and a certain rationale. We become very destructive and very quickly. But of course, if your opponent is equal to the task, no matter how much you try to hit him, if he's got good defense, he's going to survive. He's going to make it through the fight, and he's going to be trying to hit you with the same intensity, the same, desire to try and figure out how to hit you and get you. All right. Any great fighter is looking for the kill. They are looking for the kill. Right? No matter what. Because you just look at their intentions with every single punch that they throw and how they snarl their face, and you know that they're looking for the kill, okay? But they understand also that something could be coming back, and the other opponent's also looking for the kill. And that's what makes boxing so intense, but it still makes it fair. Okay? So I make no mistake in boxing, even Usyk, you know, he didn't go in for the kill, but he was every punch that he threw with the intent eventually, because sometimes you tap a guy soft, you just tap him to let him know you can get him, or you tap him just to find out where he is and all that stuff. But the intention, if Anthony Joshua could be crashed by Usyk and Usyk could take him out, he would have taken him out. But he knew he had to keep his defense, to keep his rhythm off, to keep Joshua off, keep him off rhythm. And he tried to crash him. He tried to crash him in the 12th round. He tried to get him out of there. Right? He tried to get him out of there. Because that's always what's on the mind of a fighter. If you slip up, if you slip up in there, well, and you give me free reign, I'm gonna take advantage of the situation to the max, and I will destroy you if I can. That's the way how that game is dangerous. I cannot explain to you how dangerous the game can be. You cannot afford to slip up in boxing. It could cost you your life. Okay, it really can. Guys have killed another fighter by hitting him in the temple or hitting him up the nose, whatever, with one shot. People have died in the ring. Many people have died in the ring. Okay. So it's a dangerous sport in that respect, but it is also a sport with rules, so that allows you to be much safer than people think. If you take the sport seriously, you don't take it seriously, man, you could get, I'm gonna say the word, you get fucked up. That's the only way I can explain it. You have a broken. You saw what happened to the old man, Ali Bashir. You saw what a young guy did to him by hitting him full-blooded punch, and he had a hemorrhage in his brain. He had a broken jaw. Almost died. Okay, that's a 60-something-year-old man though. But to take that kind of punch, I've heard about stories of guys who knocked out guys and they never got back up. They died. You killed them with just a punch to the chin, not even temple, to the chin, and the guy died. All right, so you have to be careful, man. Boxing is a thing. I don't care how much muscles you have on your body. If you ain't doing these exercises, ninja, you could get killed. A guy, I don't care how big you are. The chin is a chin is a chin. The brain is a brain is a brain. If that brain ain't used to getting slammed like that and it swells up, you could die. All right, so that's all I got for y'all. What you need in the building, Manny Pacquiao. If he ain't the GOAT, he's one of the greatest fighters of all time. He would, in any era, he would rise to the top. Right? And then also, Malik Scott defending Anthony Joshua and saying to these fans and these haters out there, y'all back off of Joshua. He did good. It's just Usyk is great. I'm going to catch y'all later. Peace.